I think I'm a good kid in the mad city. And I think it's fitting for us to use this to drive our chat. My North Star, what I think it really is drag as much capital into the African continent as possible. That would, if I die and that's all I've achieved, I would say that's a life well lived.
Yeah.
I studied computer science in undergrad.
Okay.
And my last year of university, I just wasn't serious, quite frankly. And it didn't go well. My results were not great. And after the results came out and I saw that I'd gotten third class, I thought my life was over. The amount of hats I have to wear on any given day is just it's like 1 minute. So I think my job as a CEO is selling and hiring. But then I find myself being a product manager at some point.
Yeah.
I find myself actually discussing with the devs in terms of, okay, what should we do? I find myself being a therapist sometimes if someone is going through something personal. So like there are just so many hats you have to wear to actually do the job well.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to my innovation story. In case you're wondering who I am Sharon, Machira. I'm Femi's friend who is from Kenya.
Yep.
And Femi and I share Femi's passion for four things: entrepreneurship, for Africa, for tech, for storytelling, and more importantly, where those four worlds collide, especially to drive this continent forward. So today, we flipped the script and we said, let's put Femi in the hot seat and understand his innovation story. And I think what's interesting is that, you know, you and I know each other from professional context. And in the last couple of, I would say, a year or so, we've known each other as friends a little bit more socially. And I think it's been a wonderful friendship that originated from work. Yeah. So welcome, Femi, to your own show.
Thank you. It feels weird. No, but thank you for doing this, Sharon. And I couldn't have thought of anyone that's better to have this conversation with.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited,
I was just saying I'm so giddy.
Yeah.
Like I'm so giddy. I feel like, a kid at a playground. So the way I was thinking we can do this is, you speak to a lot of founders about their businesses, their entrepreneurial journey. But I always think it's great to get to know the person behind the story. Sure. So I want us to get to know you a little bit. Femi had prepared some questions, but I was like, we'll get to those ones, but let me start with mine. So let's first start with this set. You told me something interesting, that there's always a vinyl of a different album, I think, with every set. Why did you pick this for me, and what is this vinyl about?
So, Good Kid, Mad City is, first of all, I really like Kendrick.
Okay.
That's the start of that. But also, it's, what I think is that we're in a mad place right now. We're in Lagos.
Lagos is crazy.
And it's crazy.
It's my first time here, and
no, it's a crazy place. It just
the airport alone.
It feels like a simulation, quite frankly. And I think, for the sake of this conversation, I just feel like I think I'm a good kid in the mad city, and I think it's fitting for us to use this to drive our chat.
I love it. And why is it an important motif to have on your podcast, that every person that comes in has a different vinyl?
What I think is just a way to personalize the story being told. I think everyone has a story and everyone has a vibe.
Yeah.
And I think trying to capture the essence of the vibe is very important.
Absolutely.
Whether it's the vibe or their interest and so on and so forth. So that was the thinking behind it. Shout out to my wife, though. I think...
Shout out to your wife.
It's important that...
She's amazing.
It was her idea as well. So okay. I really want to give her a lot of props.
You guys are very musical.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
I want to give her props as well.
I love it.
Shout out, Wing.
Speaking of your wife, let's get a little bit into family. You recently became a dad.
Yes.
Draw the parallels for me. Fatherhood and Founderhood. Where did the two meet?
The two met in a very unexpected and quite frankly crazy way.
Yeah.
So I'm a dad now. I've been a dad for just over a year.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. And I will say maybe a week or so before I became a dad, I was just hanging out with my wife and I was thinking, and I was thinking of what my North Star was going to be. So like, this cliche saying about, your deathbed, what is going to be written about you, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I was really just thinking about what my legacy will be, like, why am I here? So having a lot of existential thoughts. She didn't know. And what came to me was that I really wanted to help drive Africa forward in a way that I just couldn't do in my capacity as a Google staff, because I was still a Google staffer then at that point in time. I really want to, my North Star, what I think it really is drag as much capital into the African continent as possible. That would, if I die and that's all I've achieved, I would say that's a life well lived.
Yeah.
And, you know, right now we're on 1%, I want to get it to 10. And it's a pretty ambitious goal, and I wanted to have as much flexibility as possible to actually pursue that goal and help as many founders, help the ecosystem in a way that, you know, I didn't have any extra considerations to make. So I actually spoke to my wife about it. Hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing, and she was so supportive. She was like, "Go for it. If that's, you know, that's what your spirit's telling you, and that's what you're hearing, I think you should go for it." And with her support, a week before I became a dad, I decided to become a full-time entrepreneur. I would not recommend it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But it's been an amazing journey so far. I love being a dad. I like being a present dad.
Yeah.
I think working from home helps. She's, I would say, the love of my life right now. And I can't imagine my life without her.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Fatherhood, founderhood.
Yeah. Don't do the same at the same time. I'm telling you.
Do you think does she motivate you to be, what kind of founder does she motivate you to be, would you say?
So it's funny you ask this question, because I found myself asking a lot of times that I would like to live my life in a way that she would be proud to tell people about.
Yeah.
And I think the entrepreneurial journey is really a journey of self-discovery, in my opinion. So I find myself thinking through either habits that I have or things that I, like, am I being disciplined enough? Am I, actually putting in enough work? So on and so forth. I find myself making sure that I live my life in a way that I raise the bar so that she has a good target or worthy targets in terms of, what kind of person do I want to be? That's the first thing. But also, I also really, I want to take care of her, so I want to make money.
Yeah, period.
So I think there's that extra motivation at the back of my mind that, hey, you have, it's not just you, it's not just you and your wife. It's you, your wife, and a daughter, and thinking through how I go about making sure that she has the life that I dream that she can have.
Right.
Is definitely an extra boost.
I love it. And I think maybe that's a good segue into how you and I knew one another.
Yes.
Because I want to tap into a little bit of our background, right? So Femi and I both used to work at Google. And we now don't work at Google. We're both founders, so I'm also an entrepreneur. And the other day I was thinking about this. Our backgrounds at corporate, how has that helped you navigate you being a founder?
I think, so I've worked in a couple of places. So when I was still in corporate, I was actually the quintessential job hopper.
Okay.
The longest I ever worked anywhere was 3 years, and it was in Google, actually. So before then, it was 2 years. 2 years and I'm out. 2 years and I'm out. And what I think that did was gave me a lot of perspective. So I worked as a consultant. I worked as a programmer, computer science for a bit. I worked as strategy associate in a bank. Wow. I worked as a fintech grants manager in an NGO, and then I worked in Google. So I got a lot of context in different walks of life. And I think that varied context really plays an important role in terms of being able to navigate talking to different kinds of people. Because as a founder, you might need to speak to people you never really expect. I'm sure you can relate to this.
100%, yeah.
And more importantly, I think there's also a certain level of excellence that I found that I brought to my work that not a lot of people tend to do. Attention to detail. When I have a very high bar for excellence, and I find that when I'm speaking to people or trying to kind of motivate them to get there, some people just can't get there, and sometimes that's okay. Maybe we just don't work together.
And sometimes it's not okay.
Sometimes it's just unacceptable.
Actually, you've reminded me how we ended up connecting even outside of work. Because I remember how we first met was when you were doing Black Founders. Yeah,
Black Founders.
And I think you were launching something in Nairobi, the cohort in Nairobi. Yeah. And so at the time, I was the communications head for Kenya. And so you'd come to launch it in country.
She was doing an amazing job, by the way.
Thank you. And so I think I was working on your press release. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, first of all, everyone at Google is excellent. That's just the standard. But then you were so hands-on with your project and so clear about your vision and so clear about the story that you wanted told. And for me, my background is being a journalist. So sitting in the comms department, I always used to feel like there's not a lot of people don't understand this storytelling thing. And I think you're one of the few people that I interacted with, and I was like, this is someone who knows exactly what they want. And these founders are very lucky to have you, sort of ushering them into this startup collective. So, by the way, take your flowers.
Thank you very much.
I remember being very impressed, and I was like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing.
No,
He
thank
really
you
knows what
so
he's doing.
much.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now that you mention it, I remember something about you actually on that day.
Okay.
So like you said, that's where we officially met. We had exchanged emails.
Yeah, a few times.
But that's where we proper met. And it was an event basically to showcase the launch of the cohort, the Black Founders Fund cohort. It was, I believe, the second year. And we're thinking of how to make sure that we got the right people in the room, the right KOFs, key opinion formers, which is what Google calls them.
KOFs. Crazy. That took me back.
They threw back. And it was, we're brainstorming live. Like, okay, we're here and we have some government officials, we have some founders. How do we really get the word out? And you had suggested on the spot actually getting some news reporters to come. We hadn't discussed this. And in about 30 minutes, you had gotten them to come to the room. They were capturing, asking questions live, doing live interviews. This was like the actual news. I still have the link actually on my LinkedIn. Honestly, I posted it on my LinkedIn. That's the only press release link I have on my LinkedIn. And I remember thinking that this is such a resourceful person, being able to think on the fly. So you two take your flowers.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Man, and that actually led me to my next question, which is, while yes, we had this amazing experience in corporate, as a founder myself, I've noticed that sometimes corporate thinking can be very limiting. Yeah. Do you share that same idea? And what are some of the limitations that you feel having a corporate background can have in an entrepreneurial landscape?
I think it depends on your role as an entrepreneur, but I can cite a very practical example.
Yeah.
I think especially at the very biggest of organizations, there are a lot of approvals.
Oh, yeah.
That you have to get. You have to touch base with different people saying, hey, I would like to do this. I just want to get your sign off. Or I want to do this specific thing. Oh, you have to speak to this person who is in charge of this one.
Like a subject matter expert.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is basically the expert in this space. My transition to being a founder has kind of just eliminated all of that because so I'm the CEO.
Yeah.
And I'm CEO of a consulting firm, Magna Collective, but also a tech platform called Vested.ai. And I realized that the amount of hats I have to wear on any given day is just it's like 1 minute. So I think my job as a CEO is selling and hiring. But then I find myself being a product manager at some point.
Yeah.
I find myself actually discussing with the devs in terms of, okay, what should we do? I find myself being a therapist sometimes if someone is going through something personal. So there are just so many hats you have to wear to actually do the job well.
Yeah.
And the hats change. So again, back to times in corporate, you kind of have a fair understanding of the boundaries of things that you're going to be working through on any given time.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen here. You speak to a customer or a group of customers and they tell you that, hey, what you've done is nice, but hey, we need this additional feature, and you're hearing it again and again. You kind of need to pivot a little bit to focus on that to make sure that you bring it to life. So things are changing all the time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people struggle. A lot of people who have worked in big organizations all their lives struggle to make that transition. But I think it's important that we do to get that degree of flexibility.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, again, I'm preaching to the choir.
100%. And even speaking of that transition, let's talk a little bit more granularly about the businesses you've started.
Sure.
Let's get into Magna Collective. What is it and why did you start it?
So, for context, Magna Collective is a consulting firm that's just exclusively focused on driving innovation and access to capital in Africa.
Yeah.
So the thinking behind it is actually born from some of the things that I had shared about what I was thinking about, what my North Star was going to be. I want to put Africa on the map in a different way. And I think there's a lot of potential here. We have a median age of about 18 on the continent, but just so young and brimming with hope. And I think there's just so much we can do. So the consulting firm is basically my way of hand-holding innovators, people who care about entrepreneurship, people who want to build out the ecosystem, kind of just hand-hold them through the process.
Yeah.
So I still work with Google. But whether you're a big entity, whether you're an investor looking to come into the continent, kind of just handhold you through the process and say, hey, this is what you should do, and provide that local context. And it's called Magna Collective because we are a collective. So I have a lot of ecosystem partners that I work with across the African continent.
Yeah.
And the thinking behind it is basically, hey, there's nothing that beats local context. And it's important that we provide that local context as we're trying to help people navigate the African space. So that's the thinking behind it for Magna Collective.
And just looking back to because at Google you were doing, something pretty similar, right? You were in charge of the Black Founders Fund and helping founders literally do what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So what is a key insight that truly makes an African startup succeed? An insight that you picked up from back then that you're really driving home now?
I think it's so many things.
Okay. The one that comes top of mind.
I think the biggest thing, and success, because I'm thinking make them succeed. Success also is it
it looks
depends.
different.
Yeah,
for different people.
What I do think is, if I was to really give an umbrella definition, I would say you're solving a real problem.
Yeah.
And I think what has happened over the last last year and a half, 2 years, within the African context, is that funding has dried up. Yeah. So those people who aren't really solving a real problem and solving it in a way that makes sense from a business case standpoint, have really struggled. And I think the importance of keeping your ears to the markets can be overstated. And I found that the most successful founders, back then, but now I know with granular detail.
Yeah.
The most successful founders are those that are really able to keep their ears to the ground and listen to their customers repeatedly. Because it's not just a one-off thing. You don't just listen to your customer today and kind of say, okay, we're done. It's
constantly listening to them.
Their tastes are changing, the ecosystem is changing, things are moving. And I think the importance of making sure that you kind of keep your ears to the ground and you're building with your end users in mind cannot be overstated.
Right. And if we look at this mission of Magna Collective, scaling investment into Africa. And let's say there's a global investor that's watching this. They're trying to enter Africa. What would you tell them, perhaps, as some of the barriers? And how would you encourage them to continue even despite these barriers?
Yeah. The very first thing I would do is ask them why.
Yeah.
So I think every investor is a little different.
Yeah.
And every investor cares about very nuanced things. So are you just here focused on ROI? Do you care about impact? So are you trying to include some social element to some of the work that you're doing? Are you trying to tell a story? Some people don't actually even care about return on investments. They just want to be able to say they did it and tell a story around the people that they've supported. So there's quite a broad range of investors that exist. But if I was to tell them, I would start with the why, but generally speaking, I would also tell them that, hey, Africa is a little different from anywhere else you've invested in.
Yeah.
Because, so for instance, if you're looking for a return on investment, it might take a little longer, right? There's a rule of thumb that return on investment for VCs is 7 to 10 years. In Africa, maybe 12 to 15, right? It's a different landscape, right? And then I'll also try to help them understand that innovations in Africa sometimes, and a lot of the times, actually include something called a digital physical mix. It's not just tech. Sometimes you might need to have a human element to actually scale it with boots on the ground.
Right.
An example, for instance, we're in Nigeria. MoneyPoint is one of the biggest fintech companies here. And they've gotten that physical digital mix where they have, obviously, their app, but they also have local agents that are from the local communities to speak through the solution to the people that are trying to onboard.
Right.
I find that tends to be the case a lot of the times, especially if it's B2C. So I would try to give them the local context that they need to succeed. I think that's the overarching point, I would say.
And so if you had a magic wand and you could erase one of the barriers that you mentioned, which one would it be and why?
I think the first barrier will be disposable income. I wish we were richer. But also, I think another barrier is the amount of risk capital we have on the continent.
Yeah.
So by risk capital, I mean, so the US, one thing they do really well is you have an idea. There are a lot of people that are willing to basically say, this is very unvalidated. It's likely to fail, but I'm going to give you money anyway, just to test it out.
Right.
We don't have that here in Africa. We don't have a lot of it. And if I was to I would say that's probably the biggest barrier. If you meet any company, they'll tell you their biggest barrier is access to capital. But I'll be even more specific to say, for me, it's the risk capital.
Yeah.
Being able to actually fund a lot of experimental innovations to see what works, see what doesn't work, and spur learnings. I would say that that's the biggest one I would eliminate.
Okay. And if we still on the conversation around investment, beyond the usual metrics, what is one hidden signal, right, that you look for when you're assessing the potential of an African market for international investment?
Ooh, that's a good one. This one, I think a lot of people do, but maybe not deliberately. For every investment I recommend, me personally, I think what an exit looks like for a lot of investors is, in anywhere in the world, it's an IPO or it's an acquisition or a merger. In Africa, it's more likely than not going to be a merger. So some kind of acquisition. You have been acquired by this bigger company. And that's where the return on investment will come from.
Right.
I think the hidden signal for me that I try to do when I'm recommending companies is actually who is likely to buy this company if it scales? Like who's actually likely to like if I could map out success for you from an investor's perspective, who's likely to acquire you? And what is the potential there? I would need to be able to actually see a couple of things to be able to do that. And so regardless of where they are on the continents, Nigeria, Kenya, Rwanda, whatever it is, I would tend to look at it from that perspective just so that I can map out what success looks like from the very beginning.
Right. I like that.
Thank you.
So, okay, let's get into Vester AI.
Yeah, sure.
What is it and why did you start Vester AI?
So Vester AI is a platform that simplifies startup discovery and assessment for accelerators and VCs. So
it's like Bumble, but for
to some degree,
VCs and startups.
Accelerators. It's interesting you say this because I'm a big fan of AI. I use AI every day.
I thought you were going to say you're a big fan of Bumble. I was like, where? Yeah.
Maybe not. But I use AI every day, literally every day.
It's like I search on AI, like on ChatGPT.
Honestly,
yeah.
Honestly, it's basically might be my best friend right now. But I use it every day, so I'm an avid user. I'm a big fan of AI. And when I was in Google, I realized the problem, and the problem was every year would get anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 applications for the Black Founders Fund.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah. And it required us to, we worked with some partners, but it required us largely to do the review pretty manually, right? And what I realized was there has to be a better way to do this, right? Because it was very reliant on my attention to detail. It was very reliant on me combing through, along with the partners, to make sure that we didn't miss anyone out, any hidden gems.
Wow.
And also, we had to do it in a short period of time. We had about maybe 2 to 3 weeks to really go through everything because we needed to select the winners and do the announcements and so on and so forth. And I was always worried about the fact that this was just such a manual process, so time-consuming, and there has to be a better way. There just has to.
Yeah.
And then AI came out. And I realized that one of the biggest issues around assessing a company for me was the ability to manage a team and manage a business model in a way that you could do it at scale.
Yeah.
I can do it when I'm reviewing a deck, but digitizing that is very hard to manage a team using ones and zeros. So basically say, oh, look at Sharon. Is Sharon going to be a good founder using a yes or no checkbox? It's very difficult.
It doesn't work that way. Yeah.
But with AI, you can do it if I've done it, right? So I found that there was a way we could train our AI agents to be able to assess companies depending on their industry.
Wow.
And once we found that we could do that, we tested out in the markets and we got some feedback, and we actually started scaling this up such that we're able to get some accelerators and VCs to actually use the product. So this is where we are now in the journey, and I realized that. Thank you, AI. First of all, it wasn't possible before, but now we've been able to actually solve a major pain point for a lot of people, and more importantly, save them time. Because now you're able to spend a lot of your time at things that are very high level, like keep it strategic,
right?
And then a lot of the admin is done by our AI tools.
I love it, and it makes me think about the next part of this conversation, which is where then is the place for human intuition when it comes to evaluating some of these founders, right? So What would you say to that?
I think that's a good question. I don't. I think there's always going to be a human mix.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because AI can take away the admin, but I think from what I've seen in the market today, a lot of investors and accelerators still feel the final decision has to be a human being.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't completely outsource it. They would just want to spend less time doing it. So where human intervention comes in is basically taking in the information that has been pulled by the AI bots and AI agents to make an informed decision. So the human being is still very much important in the step. It's just we've provided all the tools to make your life a lot easier.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
And let's get into leadership, right?
Oh.
And leadership specifically within African innovation.
Sure.
So, question here. If you could plant one seed of innovation across the African continent with guaranteed long-term impact, right? What kind of seed would that be?
It's a good question. First of all, thank you, Sharon. I'm enjoying this. I'm
I'm so glad we did this.
Thank you so much.
Sometimes, you want to know the story behind the person. So
I really appreciate it. By the way, it was Sharon's idea. Doing this was her idea, and I really appreciate this.
I'm so glad we get to do this.
So one seed,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because I don't know if it's one seed because there are 54 countries.
Fair.
And what I've realized is the nuances around Africa really matter. I think we're pretty similar, but there are many different things. So, for instance, if you look at the industries in West Africa,
Yeah.
we tend to lean towards fintech a lot.
Yeah. You guys like your money.
We do like our money.
You'll be liking your money.
And we really do. But there's a lot of fintech innovation in West Africa. But in East Africa...
What do we have in East Africa? What's
in
the
East
landscape?
Africa, there's a lot of climate tech and a lot of agriculture.
East
Africa is very green.
True.
And this is from the top. So the government is very deliberate about ensuring that sustainability, recycling is it's top of mind, even down to the bags that are used in shops.
Yeah. Actually, we banned plastic bags. And
a while ago.
in fact, there was a plastic bag in my hotel room this morning, and I was like, this feels so foreign. I haven't seen one of these in years.
Exactly. And I like that intentionality. But so the industries that scale and the things that are kind of focused on across Africa differ slightly depending on where you are. So I wouldn't say it's one seed. I think it's many different seeds. But I will say some of the foundational things that are still essential. So number one is education.
Yes.
And this is digital education. So helping people understand some of the latest technologies that are coming up in the ecosystem. And this is for those that are looking to join technology companies or build their own.
Yeah.
I have mentioned capital, which is always important.
Always a thing.
But another thing that I think is important is the amount of... I think what we need in Africa that is slightly missing and happens across the world is the amount of guidance that 0 to 1 founders have. So I tend to break up entrepreneurship into 0 to 1. So an idea that doesn't exist, you bring it to life.
Yeah.
1 to 5, which is the idea already exists, is getting some traction. Now it's time for growth, so aggressive growth. And then 5 to 10, which is more like you've grown, but now like we're trying to scale and consolidate market share. So this is where, you're doing market acquisitions, so acquiring different companies. A lot of investor relations happens at this point. So different founders are required for different phases.
Right.
Some founders, very unique ones, are able to do everything. Bill Gates is an example, but it requires a lot of reinvention and self-discovery. But speaking specifically to what I think is a seed that is needed, I think there are a lot of African founders who don't have that 0 to 1 support. So, hey, I have this idea.
Yeah.
I really want to scale this idea. How do I get started? What tools do I use? How do I, and this can be anything from actual resources that speak to the African reality.
Yeah.
Or mentors. So people who have done it before and are willing to share their successes, share their stories, share their failures, and share the kind of nuances that make or break a good company. So I think that is missing, and that's one seed I would really love for us to have more of.
Right. Okay. And, speaking of nuances, right, let's get into maybe your personal story.
Sure.
Or your personal journey, and specifically from a point of failure. Because I think there's so many lessons within failure, right? Could you tell us of a significant failure, right, or an unexpected challenge that ultimately became a very powerful catalyst for your growth?
So I'll be transparent here.
Please do. We love transparency.
So I studied computer science in undergrad,
Okay.
and my last year of university, I just wasn't serious, quite frankly. And it didn't go well. My results were not great, I'll be honest with you. And I thought my life chances were hampered. I actually remember sitting it was in England, so I was in London, we had a house in London, and after the results came out and I saw that I'd gotten a third class, I thought my life was over, I'll be honest with you. And I sat in a dark room for 2 weeks straight.
Whoa.
I was eating, but it was just me.
Wow. Yeah,
And what I realized was what my biggest fear was. I didn't really know. I was about maybe 21. My biggest fear is being mediocre.
Wow.
Just being just any guy, all right? That is my biggest fear.
Yeah.
And that period really showed me that that's what it was. And it gave me a lot of clarity around what I wanted to do next. So I started thinking about what I liked, what I thought my edge was. My edge was finance. I was really good with numbers. It was very intuitive for me. And so I decided to focus on finance. And thankfully, I went on to get a distinction. It was in my master's and so on and so forth.
Right.
But that experience really rocked me. But I was able to, but I also think it was, number one, important that I went through that to understand myself a little bit more, because I was coasting.
Yeah.
I was coasting until I couldn't coast anymore. And then secondly, I realized what I was good at, what my edge was. And interestingly enough, right now, a lot of the work that I do is actually a combination of both computer science and investment and finance. I don't think I would be as tech leaning right now if I hadn't done that in my undergrad. So I wouldn't change anything if I could go back. I think everything happened exactly the way it was meant to happen.
Yeah.
And I think I'm better off for it.
So do you then believe in that idea of failing forward?
I do.
Yeah.
I just think failure is a part of life. I'm not afraid of failing anymore.
Yeah.
I've just failed so many times.
It's just
so
it's part of the process.
Because I realized that experience also taught me that, hey, you're not going to die.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the thing. Because we fear failure so much that
Exactly.
it can be crippling.
Yeah.
You know, like you just think, oh, you think the worst is going to happen to you when you fail.
Exactly.
But actually, when you fail and realize, the worst thing that happens is, your ego is bruised, you go through a moment of reckoning, but then it's not as scary as
you thought it would be.
we thought it was.
It's definitely not.
Yeah.
I think failure, for anyone going through failure right now,
Yeah.
I think it's painful, and quite frankly, I wouldn't kind of just romanticize or sanitize. I don't think it's something that I won't say, oh yeah, go failure. But I think if you try hard enough and enough times at anything, you're bound to fail at something.
For sure.
But it's important that you kind of draw the learnings and try again. Right. So now I have a very experimental mindset where it's like, we tried this, it didn't work. What worked? And what didn't work? What can I take from that and try in something else, in a different space? Or what can we pivot?
I like that because I was going to ask how that then changed your relationship with fear. Could you speak to that a little bit? Like, Are you less fearful, more fearful? How has failure changed your relationship with fear?
I'm okay doing it afraid.
Yeah.
I think that's basically it. I don't think fear, again, I don't want to romanticize.
Yeah, it's still scary.
It's still scary.
Still hella
I still get anxiety sometimes when I'm trying
yeah.
something new. But what I found is two things. One, I actively look out for things or spaces where I'm scared. If I'm not afraid once a quarter, I feel like I'm not really growing.
Yeah, you're being mediocre.
Yeah, I'm being mediocre.
Back to your fear, actually.
To make it full circle, exactly. I feel like I'm just coasting and being mediocre.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. So that's number one.
Yeah.
But also, I'm okay doing things afraid. I think I'm pretty good at public speaking now. I wasn't previously. I would feel my voice shake, but I would do it anyway.
You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you very much.
Well
Thank you very
done.
much. So I think if I was to summarize the point, I'll say do it scared.
Yeah.
Do it afraid. And what's the worst that can really happen?
What's the worst that could happen? Truly. Okay, we're going to get to your favorite segment. I've heard you say this is your favorite segment. Quickfire
Oh,
segment.
oh my God. I don't know what the questions are.
Quickfire segment. So, first question. Beyond the headlines,
Okay.
beyond the headlines, what's the most pressing African problem that you believe innovation can truly conquer?
I think access to capital. But I think what it is being able to, there are a lot of hidden gems in Africa that don't get access. So I was speaking to a scout the other day, and he was like, the African ecosystem has gone through a very turbulent time recently. But what he's looking out for is those really good founders that are just keeping their head down and banging out work. Right now, I know a lot of these founders that are profitable. They're running profitable businesses. They're doing amazing things, but they don't have the access or the network that people like us would. Right? They don't know the investors. They don't know how to craft their story in a way that is compelling or really gets to the essence of what they're trying to do. But they are running good businesses. I think that technology has a role to play in, number one, actually helping them craft their stories in a way that makes sense. This is back to the 0 to 1 thing, like just foundational skills in terms of, hey, you're really good at this and serving this customer segment, but you have work to do here in your storytelling. Let's help you craft it.
Yeah.
So using AI tools to help them with their pitch deck, right? Or AI tools to help them with their pitching to different investors. And then using solutions that can help you get access to different investors. So, hey, I would never meet this investor unless I go to an event. Like the Africa Tech Summit that was in Nairobi. I went to it a couple of months ago, right? I would meet the investor in any walk of life. But hey, with this tool, this investor is able to get visibility in my business. And I'm able to actually get to understand what they care about, to know which one is a good fit, which one isn't a good fit. Right now, a lot of founders are applying blindly. So I feel like there's a lot of room for technology to actually help in that space, which is part of what we're trying to do with Investor.ai. So fingers crossed we get it done.
We'll get it done. I have so much faith.
Thank you.
Okay, next one. What's one word that you would use to describe the current energy in Africa's tech ecosystem right now?
Buzzing.
Yeah, it really is buzzing.
It's buzzing.
It's really buzzing.
I think it's buzzing. I think, like I said, we have a lot of young people.
Yeah.
A lot of young people are trying to do a lot of amazing things. I think there's a lot of excitement in space.
Yeah.
Even with the lack of funding or the decrease of funding, there is still funding. So I think it's buzzing. I think there's a lot of really interesting innovations popping out every day. And I think as a result of what's happened more recently, a lot of people have, again, focused on making sure their business is profitable. Yeah. So focusing on the like the unit economics to make sure they're running sustainable businesses. And again, the strong will survive. So right now we're seeing a lot of really strong and, again, buzzing founders and entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. So I'm excited for it, and I'll use the word buzzing.
Buzzing. I would agree.
Thank you.
I would agree with buzzing. Okay, finish the sentence, right? The key to unlocking Africa's innovation potential is?
Success stories.
Yeah.
We need more success stories.
I agree.
We need.
I thought you would say something different, but I agree that it's success stories.
We need more success stories.
A bit of PR.
We do.
Yeah.
I think on two fronts.
Yeah.
In terms of unlocking the enablers, local enablers. So local founders, local businesses, local investors participate in the innovation landscape, and also global players coming to support the ecosystem as well. I think what would really help is getting a lot more success stories. So actually more people succeeding, and also us crafting. So using platforms like this to actually speak to some of the successful ones around what they did well, what they didn't do well, what worked, what didn't work. I think that's what we need more of, success stories.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Last one.
Sure.
I'm just throwing this in now. You've said multiple times, as we've chatted, in other forums, that Nairobi is your favorite city in Africa.
Yep.
Why is that? Tell us just from, as a founder,
sure,
but also just as an African. Why is it Nairobi and not Lagos?
So I was born, maybe I'm just used to Lagos.
Yeah.
So I was born in Lagos. I grew up in Lagos. I spent a stint in the UK, but came back. Lagos, what I like about Lagos is the entrepreneurial mindset that everyone has. The aggression that Lagos has breeds entrepreneurs. entrepreneurship happens as a result of Lagos. It's not, it will happen.
Yeah, I like that.
What I like about Nairobi, though,
Yeah.
is, first of all, Nairobi is, the temperature just works with me.
It's fair. It's hot here.
Oh my God, it's hot in Lagos. But Nairobi is just perfect. The weather is amazing.
Yeah.
And just being able to sleep with the window open. There are no mosquitoes in Nairobi.
What but okay.
I haven't gotten bit once. In Nairobi specifically.
Yeah.
Apparently there's something about the altitude that makes it tricky for Anopheles mosquitoes. I heard this. I'm not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I can leave the window open. I'm living as God intended. But I think there's also something about the fact that Kenya as a whole is a very tourist-driven environment. So the people are very welcoming. It's a very warm environment, and people are interested in helping, and they're almost invested in you having a good time as well.
Yeah, that's so true.
So every time I go there, I'm just like, man, I love it here. I love it here so much. It just gels with who I am as a person.
Yeah.
Then also, I believe last year was the first year in a while that the funding that went into Kenya was was the most in Africa.
Oh, really?
Typically, it's 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But I believe it rivaled Nigeria more.
Wow.
Like, the exact numbers escape me, but Kenya definitely has gone up in terms of funding. The innovation landscape is strong. There's a lot of top-down support from the governments and different ecosystem players that are trying to enable the landscape grow.
Right.
I think it's a great time to be a founder in Kenya, even if you're not building for Kenya. I think the Kenyan ecosystem just supports founders, right?
Yeah.
So, as a person, as a founder, Nairobi agrees with me, and you'll be seeing a lot more of me.
I love that. As a Nairobian, we're happy to hear it. We're happy to receive you. Karibu sana. Welcome.
Thank you.
And as we close, to the people that made it this far, thank you. What was your hope with this podcast? What do you hope people take from this sessions going forward, and what do you hope that this platform becomes?
I think that's a great question. I want to tell real stories.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think they know what defines success in Africa, but I think there's a gap that is missing.
Yeah.
A lot of people, what you see in the headlines is just, hey, this person has raised, or this person has expanded into this company or this new country. But I think there's a lot more that happens that would help a lot of founders and people that just care about innovation in general when we tell real stories, like the raw, honest truth. Like being able to say, hey, I failed, and this is what I learned. Or, hey, what I'm doing right now isn't working. And I'm thinking of pivoting here. Right, being able to create that forum where we can have those honest conversations in a way where you're left inspired, but also you feel seen, I think is what I'm trying to do with the podcast.
Yeah.
And I hope we're doing that. Please let us know.
Do let us know. And I think this brings us to the end, Femi.
Oh my
How
God.
was it being in your own seat?
I'll be honest.
On your own show.
I didn't know what to expect, but this has been awesome. Sharon, you're an amazing podcast host. She has her own podcast as well, by the way, guys. You're an amazing host. And I'm really happy we did this. Thank you very much.
I'm so happy we did this. And I hope you guys now understand what motivates Femi. If nothing else, just the fact that you've been able to share your story, your motivation, your hopes, your dreams. I think as founders, we find a lot of camaraderie in being able to know who the person is behind the business, right? And what I always find helpful with our podcast is we always ask our audience to co-create with us. So we ask them to tell us in the comment section. So please, guys, if you're watching this, who do you want to see in that seat, right? Let us know in the comments, and Femi will do his best. He has a whole team over here. He'll do his best to find the people that you request, because as you said, you always have to ask your customers what works and what's not working. So let us know the guests you want to have. And Femi, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing. Thank you guys for watching this far, and we'll catch you on the next episode.